In this video, what I think is one of the prettiest saloons of all time. It is the Volvo S60, launched in the year 2000, ended production 10 years later. This is a facelift version with the later headlamps. They didn't have headlamp wipers by this point, apart from the feisty R model, but really it's at the back where I think all the drama happens. Remember, before this, Volvos were very boxy. But it was actually a Hungarian-American designer, the name of whom I'm going to put here because I have no idea how to pronounce that. And he designed the S80, which we've already tested, the S60, which I think is the absolute highlight, and the XC90, which also shares this very strong shoulder design. In fact, it's one of the things I love, that the Volvos were so distinctive in this era. It was like the Mercedes-Benz saloons of the Sarco era, where they all looked from the same family. Very striking resemblance. Huge rear lamps. This one is a 2-litre turbo. It's done about 158,000 miles, about 60,000 or so of those. Actually, maybe more like 80,000 with the current owner. He's had it quite a while. He's spent a little bit on it, but let's explore. We've got some stickers on this enormous rear window. Oh, that's one of mine. Who are these guys? No idea. And yeah, I just think it's gorgeous. Let's have a look inside. Actually, it's not raining too much at the moment. You can see it obviously has been. So perhaps we can have a look under the bonnet before we head in. So all the S60s had a 5-cylinder engine of various types. Oddly, the entry level was the 2.4 non-turbo as tested in the S80. This is the 2-litre turbo. So imagine it's tucked down the back there under that heat shield. Little turbocharger, about 180 brake horse rather than the 160 odd of the non-turbo, and apparently a really good amount of torque. So should be good. We've got the 5-speed automatic transmission down here. Hayes in Warner. Does that mean it's the same gearbox as the dreaded Velsatis, I wonder? Yes, I think it is the A55, I think that says. So yeah, regular fluid change is a must on those, but Volvo did something clever. And on the Velsatis, the gearbox goes into a sort of a neutral phase every time you come to a stop, and then it re-engages drive, and that wears out and causes a horrible jolt every time you go into drive. Volvo turned it off in the firmware. They weren't having that. They knew it would damage it, so it should be an awful lot smoother. Let's see if it actually is. So moving inside, lovely high quality feel. Oh, just lovely. This was Volvo still in their glory era, and these leather seats, which are soft and also supportive, absolutely lovely. Memory function, electric adjustment, these controls here. I was never awfully keen on this. I used to borrow a manager's V70 back in the day, and yeah, I kind of thought this looked a bit like elephant hide. I wasn't quite sure of the point, but we'll shut the door because it maximizes the serenity in here. And yeah, look, lovely clear dials, just a few buttons on the steering wheel for the cruise control, and stereo controls. The headlamp switch, I've got the headlights turned on. They turn off when you turn the car off. I don't think this is set to have the running lights on, but you could specify that. Fog lights variously, level, and I think that's a delay, like follow you home lights, I think. And over here, built-in stereo, lovely cup holder, nice and simple, does the job. We've got the digital climate control down here, dual zone as well. Here's your gear lever control, all feels a bit more robust than the Renault. We've got a very nicely engineered a little roller there to reveal another pair of cup holders. We've got space back here where we've got another cup holder, in fact 2 cup holders in there, and that rolls over, and then you got more storage for all your odds and sods in there. So, and it's all very nicely engineered. It's not quite Merc SL standards of engineering, but it's still pretty nice. Lockable glove box, mostly for your document storage, not a huge amount of space in there. The stereo has been upgraded, so it's actually got Bluetooth and everything as a plug-in through the CD auto changer. That's quite nice. Gear lever's nice and close down here, but yeah, these seats are absolutely incredible. You feel like you could sit in them for hours. Oh, it's not going to let me play with the lights because I haven't got the ignition on. But yeah, in the front here, certainly very, very pleasant indeed. Moving to the rear, it's obviously not as capacious as the S80. The S80 was a bit better for legroom, but I do still fit here. We've got 12-volt power outlet just in there for the charging of items. And this looks like it should be something. Oh. Is that meant to do something? More storage? I don't know. Answers in the comments. Notice we've got a lumbar adjustment both front seats, which I think is quite nice. Obviously we've got the centre armrest, and I'm not sure if it's a ski hatch or not. Feels like it might be, so maybe we can open that from the other side. But again, really comfortable here. I've got enough headroom, just about. Not hugely generous. I've just noticed the Rustival stickers, nice. Airbags pretty much everywhere. The rear vents, just like a Hyundai Ioniq 5 we tested recently. Someone did mention Volvo had them first. So all very pleasant. See what the boot space is like. Now the first thing with the boot space is the clever hinges. Look at this. That is a fine bit of engineering. So you got a lovely big opening, and you got remote release backrests. So you can release the backrest and it should go forward, I think. But yes, we have got a ski hatch. So a little button there, and you can shove long items through, or you can just fold the rear seat. Oh, someone put a bag in the way. That probably isn't helping. And there you go. So apparently he has done a university move with this car, so that's worth bearing in mind for me. There's our Rustival stickers. But yeah, very, very practical, and obviously more security than the estate because it's all a bit locked away. I guess the only downside of a saloon is you get no rear wiper, although I'll tell you what, some did. Dutch motorway S60s had a rear wiper fitted here so they could reverse down motorways at speed. So let's fire the 5-cylinder engine into life. Sounds very, very distant. I'm just going to turn the fan down a bit. Oh yeah, you're probably struggling to hear that because the sound insulation's so good, but that is good 5-cylinder noises. Windscreen wiper test. Oh nice, I love a spray of screen wash, but excellent, good overlap, no triangle of doom, and a pretty good wiping performance, you'd have to say. Aero blades from the factory on the facelift, and we've got the headlamps, we've got the wipers in automatic mode, so we'll see how they do. But in we go into drive, and absolutely seamless take up. Steering rack has been replaced on this one with a Recon one at a cost of about £300 for the rack, and I'd say that's money well spent. It feels nice and tight. Oh, I've got to turn the auto wipers on. You've got to press the button or they don't auto wipe. Well, there we go, they seem to be judging that quite well. Oh, this car is like slipping on a pair of comfy slippers. It just feels so nice, and it just gathers pace with minimal effort, and that's come from someone who's driven to this test today in an electric car. But it's quite similar to that. If you want to hear the 5-pot noises, I'm not sure a Volvo is the best way to do it, because they do pretty good sound deadening. But yeah, it's hard to believe this car this year is 20 years old. So it just doesn't feel it. It feels so fresh. 158,000 miles on the clock, and it feels so fresh. Lovely. There is actually a bit of weight to the steering as well, so kind of feels like you're actually a bit connected to what's going on. Let's just give it a kick down. Woohoo! Yeah, I mean, obviously there are much faster models in this range, but it just picks up nicely. For on the road, that's probably all the power you want, really. I don't quite get the point of an R. Weirdly, the R retained glass headlamps when the rest of the range was plastic, and that's why the R could have headlamp wipers. Headlamp wipers with plastic headlamps, not such a good idea, because they tend to just scratch the lenses really, really badly. So that, which is primarily driven by impact regulations, is kind of why headlamp wipers stopped being a thing. Oh, this gearbox is kind of one I should know, but both Velsatises I've driven with this gearbox felt clunky and unpleasant at similar mileage. This is just perfectly smooth. I don't know if the owner's done fluid refreshes on it or what. Oh yeah, this is just smooth, steady progress. Well, not so steady actually, it's quite brisk. All these Volvo cars at this time were developed from the same platform, Volvo's P2 platform, and even the larger XC90, and it's just like peak Volvo really. I don't wish to diminish what Volvo are doing these days, because they are still very successful. Now owned by Geely. At this stage, Volvo was still owned by Ford, which is why the engine ended up in the Focus and the Mondeo. There were 5-cylinder engines available, and weirdly this engine also ended up in the Renault Safran for a time, recalling the previous PRV, Peugeot Renault Volvo experience, I guess. Peugeot left out in the cold this time, but you could get a Renault Safran with a Volvo 5-pot. But yeah, what impresses straight away is just how refined it is. It feels like a proper luxury product, and it was a tough marketplace. This car was competing against the likes of BMW and Mercedes-Benz, but the Volvo manages to feel very good and also very Volvo. But everything seems to work. There are no trim rattles. It's an exceedingly pleasant place to sit. I'm very impressed. Now, I've long wanted an estate version of one of these because I knew it would be a really nice car. But the problem is, generally, any of them, you don't get many with low mileage on. They're all Starship mileage, and not everyone has the same level of care, so some of them feel quite tired. Give a cyclist plenty of room. Oh yeah, you can make good progress at low revs. That's nice. Until you catch the next motorhome anyway. Genuinely feel you could just drive anywhere in this. The owner reports that if he fills it up in Kent, he can get pretty much to Munich on one tank. It's about 600 miles. Now I don't know how big the tank is, but I still think that's pretty impressive. Well, there we go. That was a very damp road test in the very assured Volvo S60. I enjoyed that a lot. Very, very smooth and interesting to drive a car with that Aisin Warner gearbox, where the gearbox doesn't feel like it's about to explode. Interesting times. Incidentally, my old Velsatis has passed the MOT and lives on. Good times. But yeah, I way prefer that. It is better in absolutely every measurable way, apart from the fact the Velsatis is a hatchback. But I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm going to go and dry off somewhere, and we'll see you in a future video. Farewell.